Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the Otakuology Podcast. I am Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is Jin Graves.
What's up, guys?
If you are new to the Otakuology Podcast, we talk about anime, manga, comics, movies, and life itself. Welcome if you're new. Welcome if you're old. You know how it is.
Hey, welcome if you're in the middle.
But today, we are discussing what I feel like is a classic in the anime sphere of anime. Jin, what are we talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about Riding Bean.
Riding Bean, that's right.
I just had to tell you.
What?
Whenever you first told me this name, I had to sit there and be like, are you fucking with me? Because my mind completely went in the gutter with this one. I was like, You're really fucking with me, aren't you? Yeah. And then when you see him in the movie, I was like, holy shit, it is a real movie. I thought you were like pulling my leg. It was going to be a hentai or something.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a little history lesson on Riding Bean.
Okay.
So Riding Bean is an anime original video animation, or OVA, following the exploits of courier-for-hire Bean Bandit and his partner, gunwoman Raleigh Vincent. The genre is action comedy. It was directed by Yosu Hagasagawa. I can't say that right.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Written by,
I said, yeah, I'm not going to try and tell you that one.
Yeah, I got this one though. Written by Kenichi Sanada, and if you don't know who Kenichi Sanada is, he did Gal Force. He did a lot of the designs on Bubblegum Crisis. And what else did he do? I forgot off the top of my head. He did Gunsmith Cats as well. It's hard to think off the top of my head.
Which didn't you tell me this the other day that this was like a prequel to Gunsmith Cats?
Yes, kind of, sort of, a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. Like the same characters show up in it.
Yeah.
Like Bean shows up in Gunsmith Cats, and Raleigh Vincent is the main character in Gunsmith Cats, and there's a little bit differentiation for each one.
Yeah.
Because when I get into the history of this, and I'll tell you more about it, but music was by David Garfield. Studio is Aki Artmike is the studio who released this. It was released February 22nd, 1989. Runtime is about 48 minutes, give or take. So, dealing with the studio itself, or the manga itself. So, the manga was written in Monthly Comics Nosy, and it was left unfinished. Only 4 chapters were ever published of Riding Bean.
Yeah.
Because the manga went under, like the comic itself went under, like the comic it ran through, they went bankrupt or something like that.
Right.
It got canceled, so it was left unfinished.
So what you're saying is like Tokyo popped it?
No, it just the Japanese comic just, I guess, didn't sell well.
Because they went under.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still read the 4 chapters of Riding Bean in one of the Gunsmith Cats adaptations.
Okay.
So this was left unfinished for quite some time, and it still is unfinished. But with the OVA itself, this was planned to be a TV show.
Yeah.
But Kenichi Sanada had a disagreement with the studio and basically was like, the city was like, no, we're just releasing what we got, basically.
Right.
So there's that, and that's kind of why the movie or OVA is left up in the air and so abruptly, I guess you could say. But anyways, let's get into this.
Heck yeah.
I almost said comic. Let's get into this movie. Yeah. So our movie starts out, or OVA starts out, whatever you want to call it, with these people. They were robbing.
It started out like The Dark Knight.
They're robbing like a bank, or it seemed like a store of some kind, and they're holding these people hostage. And please do you know why there was a naked woman being held hostage in the very first scene? Because I don't.
I don't know if she was exactly naked.
No, she was naked.
Because I know that she had a top on.
I think she was naked because she was covering herself up.
She was, but I think it was like lingerie or something.
I don't know. I think she was naked.
Because it threw me off that she's wearing this stuff that was pink.
Uh-huh.
And I had to go back and double check it because I was like, wait. So she's got that and a garter belt on. Okay. A little weird, but all right.
So these two people are holding these people up, stealing money from them. They take the woman hostage. They kill a bunch of people. This OVA is very graphic when it comes to shooting people, because people's heads explode.
This is
and we
true.
we see our hero / anti-hero, if you want to call him, being Bandit, pull up in his sick, sweet muscle car, and he is the getaway driver for the criminals.
Yeah, driver for hire.
Driver for hire, kind of like Baby Driver. Have you ever seen that? You haven't seen Baby Driver? Okay. So we get this really awesome, cool car chase, and they get blocked off. And what happens next after they get blocked by the 18-wheeler, Jen?
He stops right at it, and they tell him that he needs to move out of the way and go a different route, which we find out later that that's actually for a reason. But that it is sitting there, and then we have basically this big police car pile up, which is kind of funny to me.
What's one of the cool things his car does?
Which one?
First one? This first one. How does he get around the? How does he get around the big semi?
His tires turn sideways.
And he drives sideways.
Yeah, which I was like, what?
Were you like dumbfounded when you saw that? Because he uses it like several times throughout the episode.
He does. He uses like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the initial like seeing of it was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And then by the second time you see it, you're like, well, I knew it does that. And all cars should do that. So
right. And so we get this scene where they're driving through like a warehouse, I think it is,
through an alley.
Is it an alley? I thought it was like a warehouse. And one of the criminals takes off their hat, their mask, and takes off their jacket.
Yeah, they take off their ski mask and their jacket.
And this camera catches them. And you don't really think anything of it, And
bullshit. I was sitting there, I was like, why is she posing for the camera?
It comes up later in the show.
Because I thought initially I thought of a bad guy. Like, why would a bad guy do that? And I mean, what happened wasn't what I thought. I thought of, well, maybe you want to know that you want them to know that you did it,
Yeah.
And so that was kind of something that threw me off. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it was crazy. So they evade the cops, and Bean's like, you owe me like $47,000 or something like that,
45,000.
It was like, yeah, 45,000, and they're
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah,
that's like all our money, basically.
And because they only, instead of getting like stacks of $100 bills, it was stacks of $10 bills.
Yeah, stacks of $10 bills. Yes. And so he drives off, and he's like, they're like, oh, we want to do another gig with you, basically. Like, we want to hire you again. And he's like, I don't take jobs from bastards who incorporate children into their stuff or whatever,
Yeah, into their robbing.
I guess he didn't know that was a child at first.
I don't even think he knew them at first. They probably, I think how it happened is they said, hey, be outside the bank. We'll be the two people in ski masks.
Yeah.
And then,
I can see that.
Then when he went was when he found out, especially after she took the mask off and all the other stuff. I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
But I kind of like his like, I don't want to call it a superhero name, like his vigilante name.
Oh, Roadbuster?
I think that's hilarious.
Gotta get the Roadbuster.
And then, I had to think about it because, we have that scene like way in the future where he actually does bust up the road. And that was one of those, like, you had to tap something and go,
I get it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think that's a cool name.
So Bean leaves, and we get this scene with the two bad guys, and we find out that was a wig that the young girl was wearing. She has like purple, pink hair, and the man that's
she was also wearing a mask.
Yeah, she was also wearing a mask as well. Yes,
she was wearing a human face mask.
Yeah,
like latex.
Yeah, kind of like the whole Mission Impossible thing.
Yeah,
where you can like take it off his face and he looks like somebody else.
Yeah,
type of thing. And then the guy takes off his mask.
Yeah, and the wig.
And he spits something out, and it's a female. It's a woman.
It's a voice changer.
Yeah, it's a voice changer.
Yeah.
Did you notice the blatant like stealing of like advertisements where the girl has on a Nike like windbreaker?
Yeah.
It literally says Nike on it. On the back, there's even like a check. The check mark, it says Nike.
Yeah.
Man, this is why I love older anime, because they got away with that shit.
Right.
Like, they didn't even pay for Nike to put something in there. Like, we'll just throw it in there,
Free advertisement. Let's use that.
Free advertisement.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, what happens next? The next day, Jen.
So then we get to the next day, and we have our main female character, which I can't
Riley Vincent.
Riley Vincent. So we have Riley.
That's Papa Weeb's waifu right there.
So we have her wake up and start getting dressed and everything, which, let me just point out this is weird. I'm not going to say like I am the expert of all women or anything, but doesn't the garter belt usually go on after you put your panties and stuff on, not before?
That's what I thought as well.
Because that threw me off. I was like, okay, you gotta go. Because I saw her put on the garter belt, and I was like, okay, so she's gonna go commando. Okay, this tells us a lot about this character. And then I saw her put panties on. I was like, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I've never worn women's underwear or a garter belt, so I can't tell you if that's the right way to put on underwear or a garter
Well, you know what? We might have to have a show where we both try this, okay?
I don't know about that.
Just to know.
I don't know about that. Well, she's getting ready, making some toast, making some eggs, and Bandit is
still passed out on the couch.
He's still passed out on the couch, and this is one of my favorite scenes
where she tases him.
She tases him to wake him up, and it's like a psst, and he kind of wakes up, but then he goes back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then she takes the hot skillet with the eggs in it.
Yeah, after they're done cooking.
And puts it on his face.
Right. And then the worst thing is, I think it sits there for a minute, honestly.
Yeah, it does.
And then you finally see his eye pop over, and he goes... Ow!
Like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
Like he's like, what are you trying to do? Burn my eyeball?
Right.
And so they sit down to have a nice little dinner. And they're talking about the finances and how they're not able to get jobs or gigs.
They're not getting enough, and that the 45,000 they feel like they need to lower it to be able to get more jobs.
Yeah.
But then if they lower it and it's still not meaningful because the 45 is just barely paying for everything.
Yeah. And so they're sitting there in the
which I want to point out right here too. So when she burned him with the frying pan, there's not a mark.
No, there's not a mark now.
So we'll go with that for now. You guys remember this, and as me and Mike keep covering it, you guys keep all the times I point this crap out.
And so this scene where they're eating breakfast, I really like how it's animated.
Yeah,
where he takes I don't know if it's bologna or maybe Canadian bacon, where it's all still wrapped up.
I think it's salami.
Is it salami? Okay.
I think that's what
and he just takes it, picks up, just rips, bites a chunk out of it. And he takes his knife and he gets a pineapple, cuts it in half, and starts just eating the pineapple, half the pineapple.
Yeah, he cuts it into fourths, but we don't see the second cut.
Yeah.
And it's weird how he's holding it, and he's eating it holding the stem of it and still eating it. And he doesn't even take a bite out of the middle. He takes a bite off of the edge.
Yeah, I think he didn't even take the skin off.
Yeah. Hey, this part kind of reminded me of any time in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z when we saw Goku eat.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy can really eat.
Oh yeah.
And then instead of him having an actual cup for his coffee, it's the actual coffee pot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if that doesn't tell you part of the superhero inhuman vibes that Bean gives off, I don't know what does.
Yeah, no, most definitely, most definitely with that. So then we get our
we hop back.
We hop back. Sorry, and we meet Percy, and Percy is, I think he's a detective.
Yeah, he's the detective that's been working on the Roadbuster case.
Yes,
for a while.
He is a lot like our Inspector Zenigata type of a character. For if you know who Inspector Zenigata is, he's the foil for Lupin the Third.
Yes,
he's the guy who's always going after Lupin, and he's trying to get Bean. And this scene, I had questions.
Bean and Percy's
it's
chemistry together. Yeah. Oh man, I have to.
Oh, it was really good.
I have to agree with you on Lupin and Detective Zenigata. Spot on. I fucking love it. I was like, man, I think this is what makes the show right here. Just their interactions together, because they interact off and on 7 times.
Yeah, no, most definitely. He's the one who wants to bring in Bean because Bean's doing kind of sort of illegal things,
right?
Working for the mob, stuff like that, And he's like, finally, I will get Bean Bandit. I'm gonna get the Roadbuster, and he has this nice Shelby Cobra car. Yeah. It's blue. It's just
right.
The cars in this look amazing.
Right. Well, we learn later on that he actually bought it. And I would reckon to say that even though Bean is kind of his enemy, I guess you would say, that he actually puts a lot of stock in Bean, because that's why he's I bought this car.
Yeah. Because he's I'm gonna take him down. He's my rival. He's
know. And it sounded because he was jealous of Bean's car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And which begs the question. So this rivalry or this scenario has been going on for quite some time with Bean and Percy, right?
Right.
I'm guessing.
Has to be.
How many cars do you think Percy has gone through? What you think about it? Because what happens to his car in this? How many cars do you think he probably goes through?
I don't know, and I don't know. I don't really know that because it seems like his car like gets fixed all the time too, and I'm like,
not towards the end. Towards the end,
isn't this like a couple days? Like, or
no, it's over. It's over the span of like a day.
yeah, but like the stuff that happens is like, over a couple days altogether.
No, I think it's just the span of a day.
So it's really confusing with that whole stuff of, like, hey, how does this
Yeah.
happen? Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it sounded like he said that it was new,
Mm-hmm.
and so it almost seems like this is the first appearance that we're seeing of the cars with this movie.
Yeah. Who knows?
But I find it funny with the guns and the cars where they actually point out like the make, model, distributor, like all the stuff. Whenever they talk about it, they point out this stuff, and I feel like it's almost like a fame thing with it. You have to know the entire description of it,
like a gun nut or like a car nut.
Yeah. I mean, I would almost say like when this was made that any man that watched it had to say every man is into guns, every man is into cars. Let's tell him exactly what it is.
I think Kenichi Sonoda himself is really into cars and guns.
Oh, okay.
Because that comes up in like Gunsmith Cats as well in like the anime.
Yeah.
So I mean I'm guessing that's one thing he really likes. They put a lot of detail into the guns and into the cars in this.
That's true too.
So then we kind of missed a part where we meet Morris Gray and Chelsea Grimwood, and they have escaped from kidnappers, supposedly.
Right.
And they want to hire Bean Bandit to basically deliver the girl to the Grimwood family. I'm guess if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because they're on the run from the people that stole them.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, 50,000.
This is like where we feel like it's the start of a perfect storm, but like we said earlier with the camera thing and whatnot, there was already the start of the perfect storm. You just don't catch on yet.
Yeah. So we meet them and we see these guys across the way at another building. They have Uzis, which aren't
let me
the
ask
best
you
for weapons.
Let me ask you this too real quick, because part of that threw me off. So throughout the entire movie, we see the main bad guy chick, we see the little girl with the colored hair, and we see the truck driver guy, right? Who the heck was the fourth person?
I think you talking about the people with the guns?
Yeah, with the Uzis.
I think the people with the guns were part of the plan. Like they were a part of them, but they were kind of like expendable throwaway, maybe.
Okay, because I was sitting there thinking like maybe one of those guys was the truck driver too, but I didn't.
Possibly.
I didn't go back and relook at it.
Yeah, and so there are the windows were already broken when they started shooting, but Rally, like, I guess she hears the guns cocking, and they kind of
the windows weren't broken until they shot them.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah,
I must have missed that then. Okay, and so they shoot.
No, I think Bean hears it first, and then he kind of signals to Rally, and then she gets ready, and that's when we see everything start going.
Okay, and so they shoot Morris. He gets shot up all the bits,
right?
And Bean like knocks over the chair that the Chelsea is sitting in because she's like knocked out and drugged to sleep. And Bean's just sitting there, getting shot. Rally's hiding in a corner, trying not to get shot, as pieces of brick are disappearing, getting blown off.
Yeah, because she's trying to figure out when she can get a shot in.
Yeah, because she's like the hired gun, basically. She's really good with guns, and we get this really cool scene where Bean's getting shot, and we find out that he has bulletproof clothes. His clothing is bulletproof.
Which I don't even know about that. I don't know. because later on we see him actually get shot like point blank, and it still doesn't affect him.
Well, we'll get to that later.
So I don't. That was another thing, is I didn't know if it was his clothes.
Yeah, it's his clothes are bulletproof,
or if it was just his skin in general.
It's clothes are bulletproof because he gets cut later on.
Yeah.
But we see this really cool graphic scene. They take off to go deliver Chelsea to the Grimwoods because they're going to get a bunch of money for this job. And then what happens next?
It's when we jump back to the little girl. I can't remember her name. I think it starts with a C.
With the color Carrie. Her name's Carrie.
Okay. So we go back to Carrie, and is Grimwood, right?
Yeah, George Grimwood is Chelsea's father.
Yeah. And so we get George sitting in this room. Chelsea walks in and brings him like food or whatever.
Carrie brings him.
Carrie brings him food.
We must distinguish her name because of what happens.
Forgive us for this, because I only ever hear them say Carrie right at the end of the damn movie.
Yeah.
So I was a little upset because I was like, how am I supposed to like write down who's who? So in all my notes I write PH for pink hair, just so I know who I'm talking about. So I was like, and then they say her name at the end of the movie. I was like, I hate that they did that. Why can't you just say it like once at the beginning? Okay.
I think they do. At the end of the scene, I think they do say her name.
Okay.
The woman says her name. But what happens in this altercation?
She tries to give him food and stuff and says, hey, would you like mustard with that? Really sweet. I mean, she's just like one of the sweetest characters, I feel like, which is unnerving for who she actually is.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, I need to go to the bathroom. And she tells him, oh, well, I don't have keys for your cuffs or anything, but there's a little, I don't know, a portable potty thing underneath the table.
Something like that.
And she's like, oh, she goes, do you need help? He goes, no, I can do this. Would you leave the room? And she keeps insisting on helping him. And then she basically comes up on him and says, oh, well, I can help.
Well, she was like, suck his dick.
She unzips his pants, and she starts lowering herself down to try and get closer. He pushes her away and goes, no,
Yeah,
not what I want.
She tries to like suck his dick.
Yeah.
And we'll just say this is probably one of the most disturbing things about
that character.
This anime that I don't really care for.
Well, I know too, just a little bit, that she's that way in Gunsmith Cats too. Because I think
she?
Yeah, I think there's a scene in there where she actually does sleep with somebody.
Is she in Gunsmith Cats though?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure that's the other character.
I don't know about that. I don't think it's the same character.
Well, there's another character in there that I guess is kind of based off of all these characters.
Well, there's another character. I don't remember what her name is, but she's like a child prostitute.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same situation, So that's exactly what I thought.
She basically pulls out a knife. She's like, I'm going to cut your dick off.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to cut your dick off. Because he like fucking like backhands her.
So I wrote down this quote that she says. And she says, I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And her being nice is giving a blowjob. I was like, where did somebody go wrong?
Yeah, because she's a child.
And her child rearing. I mean, she's got to be like 13 or 14.
Yeah, she's 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And then we meet, they call her Simmer, but her name's Semmerling in this, it says. Semmerling
which I know he asked her too, like who they are to each other.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, we're lovers.
Yeah, they're lovers. And we meet Simmer. I'm just going to call her that. And she's like, Carrie, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. And Simmer basically like beats the shit out of Carrie.
Yeah.
And then like kind of picks her up by the head and like kisses her. And she's like,
yeah.
We find out they have a weird like mistress, like submissive thing going on.
Yeah.
Like her whenever she like kisses Carrie, her whole demeanor like changes. She's like, "Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and then she puts a smile back on. She's really apologetic, and then she's like, "Oh, happy-go-lucky, everything's okay." So Simmer is like pretty abusive.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I don't really care for about this anime.
Yeah.
Other than that, I love this anime.
Right. Well, I mean, even just backing up like 5 minutes with that, like whenever Carrie is talking to George,
mm-hmm.
When she's sitting there unzipping his pants and everything, she actually says, "Well, Simmer never had a problem with this. She actually says I'm good," and that was where you were like,
"What?
Hold on a minute.
Hold on, man. She got a wee wee."
Well, I mean, that just filled it right there. Like, are you?
Well, even before that, when they're talking to Morris, they remember they bugged Percy's something on Percy. They bugged with his conversation, and you hear part of his conversation with being Bandit, and he's like, "Yeah, the Chelsea girl, she's probably in the child pornography ring now,
Right? Yeah.
And
which I mean, is
bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's sexual trafficking.
Yeah,
which I didn't catch it. I didn't back it up to care to hear it again if I was right or not. But I feel at one point Percy says that maybe I can find that tape or something. Or Percy says something. I feel like it was really weird right there at that point too.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Like I'm not for sure.
And it kind of put a weird taste in my mouth about Percy for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. Because it almost sounded like he said that he was attracted to little girls.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah. No, I get you. And so we go from that, and it doesn't Bean take Raleigh and Chelsea to the Grimwood mansion?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And we get this scene like, okay, open it up, open up the gates, and these barricades come up, and guys with machine guns show up, and we find out that nobody by the name Morrison has
ever worked there. Yeah.
And then before that, I think it is, we find out that Morrison is not actually dead.
Yeah, correct? We find out after they leave, Morrison is actually
the girl. She's actually Shimmer.
Yeah, and we find out that they pre-planned a lot of stuff with this, because she had these little things tied to her wrist.
She had squibs all put on her,
and so
which makes it look like she gets shot.
Yeah, and so she untied one, and nothing happened, which was the side that went off, and then she untied the other one, and it goes off.
I actually really like that scene. I thought the scene was funny.
Yeah, and then she takes the face off and spits out the other voice.
Yeah. We find out there's Simmer. She's trying to put things in to plan or whatever. She has this elaborate plan to get all this money,
right,
from the Grimwood estate,
and frame Bean, for it.
Yeah, and so we see these guys. They're all surrounding the car, and Bean's like, we got this girl here, I got a tape, here's my evidence, like, just give me the money, let's go,
right.
And they're like, no, we're not going to give you the money, nobody by that name works here, so they start like shooting. You find out Bean's car is bulletproof to an extent,
yeah, to an extent,
and he uses his little sideways driving thing to where he runs a guy over.
So I wrote that down too. So the guy that he's talking to with this, I actually find this scene to be really cool.
Yeah.
Bean doesn't like his car to be insulted at all.
Yes.
And so he goes like full salvo on this guy.
He jams a bunch of like pecans into his mouth.
He does to chill him out. chills himself out and doesn't put his teeth together, and he just cracks them all, and then drives and gets the guy pinned against a tree with the car,
and starts like revving the car and making tires go.
Yeah, and held him there like you see in movies where it's two guys fighting. Another guy puts his like arm up on the guy's throat and starts telling him like, "Hey, you're not going to do this or whatever." Bean does that with a car. Okay.
Yeah.
With a car. And then the other funny thing is he, like Mike said, he revs the engine up. And I don't know how he got it moved from where the guy was like behind the door to being under one of the wheels. But he starts revving it and the wheel starts going and it shoots the guy up.
I think he put it in reverse.
Okay.
So like it kind of threw the guy up over the car.
Yeah, well, he gets the wheel going, and the wheel shoots the guy up. He hits the branch and falls on the other side of the car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this was one of those, like, I feel like Bean kind of drives like a super robot without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't transform to be a human.
Yeah.
So,
and then we get this cool, like, mini chase scene where the guys are trying to shoot Bean Bandit's car. And they're like, oh my god, they got anti-tank guns. And Rowley starts like naming off the guns or whatever, and
yeah, which we also find out that he knows how to drive on two wheels in the car.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool driving around the thing.
And so he still has Chelsea in the car, and right as he's about to leave, Percy shows up in his Shelby Cobra. And he like Bean like kind of stops. He's like, "What? Bean Bandit? I'm gonna get you." And he's like, "Hey, Percy, you got yourself a new car? Cool,
right?" So Percy hands him the evidence file against him and everything else, and then whoever's got this big rifle or whatever shoots it again, hits one of the cop cars. Which I'm just gonna say, whatever town this is,
I think it's like Chicago.
They have got to go through a lot of fucking police cars. Because
I think they're in Chicago.
Because we had the pile up, with the truck, which was like 8 police cars or so, 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the 2 police cars that got screwed up here from the elephant gun or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think their department just over this time period went through like 100 cars.
Probably.
So.
Yeah. Their insurance has to be like really good.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But
Percy gets a flat tire and he's like, "God damn it, Bean Bandit."
Right.
And Bean just drives off,
Yeah. Which Percy also just goes, "He's one hell of a driver."
Yeah, true. Yeah. So what happens after that, after Bean leaves?
So then Bean leaves. We get the little scene where Percy's talking to him for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up going to like this little gas station place that also has like a diner combined to it.
Yeah.
And, man, we actually see Shimmer and the truck driver pull up. And they have a conversation. He goes, "We're not going to make it there basically on what we have for gas. Let's just fill it up real quick and we'll go from there."
Yeah.
And then we kind of get this panel where it pulls out from the gas station part and flips around and goes back forward.
Bean, Rowley, and Chelsea are all eating.
They're about to eat. They haven't started yet. Which I wrote this down.
Chelsea really wants ice cream.
Yeah. So Chelsea, Bean looks at the lady, which is real cool. I love the idea of the old rollerblades and stuff.
Yeah.
Those diners and stuff.
Like Sonic, like a Sonic thing.
Yeah. So he orders 30 ribs and a case of Bud.
Yeah.
So we definitely know that he's a Budweiser guy.
Yeah.
And then he asks Chelsea if she wants anything, and she kind of starts mouthing off where we know a little bit that she basically said she wanted a sandwich. Yeah, but then before that, then the little girl goes, "I want strawberry ice cream and milk."
Yeah, milk. Yeah.
So,
because before that, they were trying to explain to her, like, we're not the bad guys.
Yeah, and I think they end up getting done telling her at this little kind of pull-in restaurant place.
Yeah.
So,
and then Bean's telling her, like, this happened, like, about the night before,
yeah.
And she's like, how could you get on camera? Blah, 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 this and that. And he's like, well, there was a semi-truck blocking the road.
Right.
And I had to go another way,
And she starts asking him she asked him to describe what it is to her.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have this too. It's a Scania.
Yeah.
Scania red cab truck. And he says there's dents all up and down the side of it from the police cars hitting it. Yeah. And lo and behold, here we go.
Yeah,
they pull out, and he goes,
"What a coincidence!"
There it is, right there.
And so Bean Bandit races off to get this truck.
Can I throw that out? I feel like a lot of things happen with this with coincidences.
Yes.
Which, when we see them chasing the truck, and then we get to the part where they actually blow up the truck and everything, Shimmer ends up killing the person, killing the driver.
uses him to make the pedals go.
Yeah, to keep going. Yeah. And then she climbs through the thing into the back into the trailer and gets into a car.
Yeah, she's like in like a BMW, I think it is.
I think so too.
Something like that.
Which then we see the second cool mod of, well, I guess it's the third, since it's the side tires and...
Yeah, and they drive the car out of the semi-truck.
Yeah, they drive the car out over Bean's car.
Uh-huh.
And they realize they're headed for kind of like older movies that the bridges aren't finished or whatever. They're heading for a dead end. Mm-hmm. And Bean has these weird spike thingies that pop out of the wheels of his car.
It comes out of the hubcaps.
Yeah, and they go in reverse, and it's to slow down the car.
Yeah, and it just rips up the road.
Right.
Hence why they call him
i.e. Roadbuster.
Roadbuster, because which we never really see him use that again, but it is what it is,
Right. Yeah, we just see the side tires really. And then we see them driving. Mm-hmm. Bean catches back up, and we see that he's got another weird little mod on his car, which is for Rally.
Yeah, Rally.
Which is like looks like a little gas cap hole that she can stick her hand out with the gun.
Yeah. And she goes to shoot, but we find out that they have Chelsea's dad.
They have George
held hostage, and Rally kind of like pauses with that moment, and we get this really cool like chase scene. Like, this chase is one of the coolest scenes ever. And fun fact, some of this chase was rotoscoped over the movie Blues Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So if you look, some of the cars are like from the Blues Brothers.
That's funny.
Yeah. I think it's mostly like the cop cars, I think.
Yeah. Well, so we get the whole part where we go back to Percy, and he's talking to his underling, I guess, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah, so yeah, like a partner maybe.
Yeah,
I guess.
And he's telling him, and he's talking about like this really hard, in-depth stuff and about Bean and everything else. And you keep hearing him say like price about stuff, but he never tells you. And then the guy kind of says, "Oh, it'll be okay, whatever." And I think he says something like, "Oh, the police department will pay for it." And Percy grabs him and goes, "No, I'm talking about the car. The Cobra cost me this much and this much time and this much for all the adjustments and everything else." And you just kind of...
And he like downs like a sandwich or like a hamburger, I think it is.
Yeah, and then he almost downs like a whole 2 ounce.
No, he does. He downs like a whole gallon of soda.
Yeah. Oh man. So,
which I think it was Pepsi he downed. It looked like a Pepsi bottle.
I don't know. It was weird.
And he like spits it all out onto the guy.
Yeah, the foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the radio comes on. "Oh, Bean Bandit has been spotted." And they're sitting there, and he goes, "Yeah, let's go get him." And then he goes, "Wait, did they say da da da?" And here comes the BMW and Bean right behind him.
Yeah, and they're like, "Bean Bandit!"
Yeah.
I'm going to get you, Roadbuster.
So that was one of the things I had to point out about this, too, is all the coincidences of things happening.
Yeah.
Of them being at the same gas station, them coming on the same road as Percy, Percy going to the mansion too. Like, all this other stuff is these weird coincidences. Like, we have the overforced one with Shimmer's plan and stuff, but then we have all these other ones that are kind of mixed in. You're like, this is just like
a happy coincidence type of thing.
Yeah, this is like overkill.
Yeah. And then they have this awesome chase scene through the city, and they end up in a parking garage.
Right.
And Bean gets out, grabs his really fucking cool knife.
Yeah.
And he hears like this this radio Shimmer's on like a radio type of thing, you know?
Yeah, so
and
he runs away from the car.
Yeah, and he gets the car, he gets the radio, cuts it with his knife, cuts it in half, you know, finds out where she is, and she's in another car. And we get probably one of the coolest scenes in this.
Where she's trying to shoot him in the back.
Where she's trying to shoot him, and he, like, throws his knife, and it goes through the car.
Goes to the driver's side window.
And hits the other side of the passenger side door, takes that door completely off its hinges.
Yeah.
And he goes to, he punches the car and grabs it with his hands, the car door.
Yeah, he punches through the window and grabs it.
And he punches through the bottom half of the car door as well. He rips off the car, like the car door. And he's got like this like crazed like look in his eyes.
Yeah.
And is this when he gets shot in the head?
No.
Or he goes through the car and he's going to stab her with his knife.
Right.
And she shoots him in the head. And this is where we find out one of the coolest things ever. He has a bulletproof headband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
fucking cool.
He like
gets shot in the head.
He gets knocked senseless because he's like,
oh yeah. He's like,
and then she hits him with the car. With the other car, she jerry-rigged or whatever.
Yeah, she hits him with the car.
Which I feel like if she wouldn't, he would have still been dazed. But she hit him with the car and it knocked him back to his senses.
Yeah, and as this is going on, Raleigh gets out of the car to go look because she hears the commotion.
Well, so right before that, I know what makes people good people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have where the little girl actually asks Raleigh, if Bean is like a villain or whatever, or is he a good guy? And she says, Raleigh tells her, well, of course he's a good guy. He watches 2 films a week that feature heroic themes. I was like, if that's all it takes to be a good guy, holy shit, we're all good guys here and there.
Yeah, he has a code where he like doesn't hurt women, basically. Women or children, I think it is. Or children, I think it is, you know.
Yeah.
And so Raleigh is out and she's looking for Bean. And
actually, you know what? When I asked you the thing about the machine gun thing earlier, actually this guy might be the 4th guy. Or the other guy.
Okay.
It could be, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense then.
Because I didn't even think about this guy like being in it at all.
Oh yeah, that makes, he has such a short part in the
because we don't even really see him until the car scene where the car comes out of the truck.
Yeah, and so this guy has Chelsea held hostage, and Raleigh's like getting ready to shoot him, and he's like, "No, don't shoot me. I'll blow her fucking brains out," basically, you know.
Right.
And he's like, "Okay, you know, put your hands up, hold the gun by the barrel, you know, throw it over to me, you know, put your hands on your head," type of thing.
Put your right hand on your head, you know.
Stuff like that. And she takes it and she like throws something, and he thinks it's the gun, but it's her. It's the clip, the gun, the clip for bullets.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Huh? What?" And you see the gun go up in the air. She catches it and she like, pew, like shoots him right in the fucking head.
Yeah.
That's a fucking awesome scene. I love that scene.
It was cool. It was cool.
It was cool. It was cool.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
And then we have we go back to Shimmer and Bean. And we have this weird moment. I forgot who says it. So one of them says like this joke.
Mm-hmm.
And they both get this weird, awkward laugh going together.
Yeah.
Like they're old friends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then Chelsea.
No,
right?
Carrie.
So then Carrie runs up. And Shimmer...
No, he first he gets the car. Like, she tries to run him over again. And
that's right.
He picks up the front of the car.
With his shoulder.
And he's like holding this car like with his hands, and like flips the car.
Yeah, and so that's where the awkward laugh comes.
Yeah,
when he picks up the car.
So Shimmer is like in this car, gasoline's coming out, and Bean's getting ready to fucking like murder this woman, you know. And Carrie's like, "No, don't do it. Don't kill her.
I'll tell you where the money is.
I'll tell you where the money is." She tells him where the money is, and Shimmer's like, "You fucking little bitch!" Like, and she shoots Carrie, and that's when the car blows up and kills Shimmer. And then, kind of gets hurt.
I thought he tried to shoot, or I thought the gun that she used blew up and made the car blow up.
I don't know.
Because I was confused on the part where he told Carrie, where at the end, you know, where he goes, "You know why that happened," or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, but he doesn't have a gun.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I thought she...
And he points at the cut on her arm, so I wasn't...
I think she inadvertently killed Sherry, maybe?
Maybe it was... Okay. Maybe that was her gun.
Maybe.
Because didn't she have a gun too?
I think so.
And then she threw it away because she didn't want Bean to hurt Shimmer?
Yeah, and then Shimmer, I think, got the gun and tried to kill Carrie.
And that's when it blew up.
Yeah. And Bean Bandit gets the money, I'm guessing, you know, and tells Carrie, you know, what was it like? Did he ask her if she wanted to come with him?
She wanted to go with him or whatever, which I was a little confused on the part too. Like, we assumed that he got the money, but then it also sounded like he talked to George when they dropped off his daughter to him. And said, "Hey, would you wire me?" Like, it sounded like he asked him for $2 million or whatever.
Maybe.
So, I mean, that means they would have $4 million.
I guess, I don't know. I thought they would get the money.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like he said. And then I love the part where he kind of told George, he goes, "You know, keep me in mind or whatever. And if you need, your next ride will be at a discount." And I was like, that's so great.
He's basically like the ultimate Uber.
Yes.
And then we see Percy and the cops outside being like, "Bean Bandit's gonna get it," and they're like, "Bean Bandit, come out to play."
Yes. Then it totally went college.
And then
everybody chanting at the game.
Yeah. Like, "Come on, Bean Bandit, let's go," you know? And he's like, "You know, this city's going to be fun. I think the city's going to be fun." And that's where our movie ends.
Yeah, because she asked him if they should move or not. And he starts naming off all this stuff. He goes, "It's going to be wonderful. Let's stay."
Yeah, let's stay here, you know? So, as a whole, what did you think of this OVA?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was probably a couple things, like the wow factor probably outweighs the little things that I had problems with, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, this is one that I watched back in college. A friend of mine showed it to me.
Yeah,
it's one that I would love to have in my collection. It got re-released on Blu-ray by I think it was Animego. Because I think they did Gunsmith Cats as well. We released that. And this is one that I would love to revisit it every couple years, because it's just so well done. Like, it's well animated. The characters are fun, you know. The action scenes are like top of the line, like really good action scenes,
Right.
And like I wish there was more of this. Like I know we have the OVAs for Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah.
And that is a little different. Like Rowley looks a little different in that. She's a bounty hunter, I think, in that one.
Yeah.
And Bean he drives for like the mafia, I think it is. So it's a little different than writing Bean. But I really wish like this got re-released on the manga, and like Gunsmith Cats got re-released. This is I think is one that people would really enjoy, and like I think it's one that really does get overlooked sometimes with newer anime fans.
Yeah.
But when you show it to people, I think people usually like get into it.
Right. Which let's plug it right here for that.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys would like to watch this
mm-hmm.
and get to know that after you've had our commentary and everything with it, then you can actually check it out on Retro Crush.
Yeah, Retro Crush.
It's free. There's like 2 commercials
mm-hmm.
on this episode or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's not going to cost you anything. So I mean, you can have a fun time watching part of the old stuff that's really good out there.
Yeah, and it's really Retro Crush is actually really cool. I watched it on my computer. There is an app for it. They have both subbed and dubbed.
I watched it on my phone.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah, because I tried to watch it on my PlayStation, but like the app, the website wasn't working that well on the PlayStation. Yeah. So I just pulled it up on my my laptop. Well, and I love this movie.
I watched it on my phone because I kept walking around. So like I was sitting in my living room for a little while, and then I sat at the desk, and then I went to the bathroom. And then I went in, and I laid down on my bed, and I was watching it for a little while because my phone was about to die, so I had to let it charge to finish out like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it.
Yeah, no, this is a fun action anime. And I think it shows like what older anime can be when they have money behind it and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Because there's a stigma behind old anime where like with new people, it's like, oh, it's not as good, well animated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I beg to differ. You fucking show them this show, Being Bandit,
I definitely think that this also makes like older things where it doesn't really like everybody's really on equal terms and what you like could be. This is somebody like I feel like if you showed a kid this movie or whatever, maybe not the prostitution parts,
maybe not the prostitution part,
the weird parts like that, but you'd have kids say, "Oh yeah, I can be that kind of hero or whatever."
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's the other thing is it's almost like a Tony Stark. Like if you had money or anything, or even somebody that could sew your clothes really well and make sure that they're bulletproof and things like that, and you work out, like you too could be a bean bandit. That's kind of what I liked about this too is there wasn't really anything that blew it out of the water, at least for Bean as a hero or an anti-hero, whatever. I would consider him just a hero.
Yeah. Reluctant hero, maybe
for what an actual person could do, because somebody could modify a car or whatever. I mean, there could be somebody that's a bean bandit out there right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's most definitely like a must watch, and it's not like that long of a movie. It's only 45 minutes long. And you get a full story within this. And it's one.
Honestly, it's even less than that. So
yeah, you don't have to watch the ending, like the credits.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, it's like a 40-minute movie.
Yeah. So. Would you recommend this to people?
I would definitely recommend this to people. Yeah, I thought it was really good, and I agree with you. I feel like I would have liked a little more, or probably to have it extended out to maybe an hour and a half movie or something like that. Just because I did feel like there was some stuff left out that I would have liked to enjoy or had a little more character fleshing.
Yeah, no, true.
Because I mean, I wanted to see Bean eat those 30 ribs. Okay.
Yeah.
So
like no, Kenichi Sonoda always makes really interesting worlds.
Yeah.
and I like a lot of the stuff he does. I've only read a little bit of Gunsmith Cats. I think it was the sequel to Gunsmith Cats that I read a little bit of, because I found like one volume of manga, but it's been like severely out of print from Dark Horse. Dark Horse,
because originally I think like the first two got printed by Tokyo Pop, and then Dark Horse ended up picking it up, so you can buy it in a 5-series omnibus set.
Yeah, and those are severely out of print.
Yes,
and but like, how like they've been releasing those deluxe editions.
Yeah,
I would love for a Gunsmith Cats deluxe edition.
Yeah,
which would include Writing Bean, like the Writing Bean manga.
Yeah,
which that would be so awesome. Like, I would buy those in a heartbeat. Like, who would buy them, like, other than like me and maybe like Papa Weeb?
there'd be a lot of people buy them.
Maybe
if you went, there's a new manga coming out. Would you want it? And then people would start being like, "Oh, let me start watching all these old things." Oh, do you think the Otakuology podcast has an episode? I think so.
Dark Horse, if you're listening, and you're probably not, I need a reprint of.
Well, let's not say that. I would say if you're not listening yet, you probably should be.
We want Gunsmith Cats the manga reprinted in deluxe editions.
So yeah, and if you would like to sponsor us,
yeah, that'd be cool. Sponsor us. I buy enough of your comic books anyways.
That's true. That is true. I think you always have one of all of them. So,
yeah.
Jesus.
But anyways, guys, thank you for listening. I personally really enjoyed this. It's a fun. Other than the child prostitution, this is a solid movie.
Yes.
But check us out on all major podcast platforms: Google, Apple, Spotify. I think that's all of them. Anchor. But go check us out. You can check me out on my YouTube channel, Otaku Mike. You can check Jin out on his channel, Jin Graves. And we also have a YouTube channel where we upload our episodes to the YouTube channel as well.
Right.
On Otakuology Podcast. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us at otakuologypodcast.com. Stay tuned.
And send us questions. We like those.
Send us questions. We like questions to answer on the podcast. And don't forget to rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you're on. It actually helps us grow in the end. If you want to help us, the best way to help us is to share the podcast and tell people about our podcast.
Share, like, support.
And if you want to check out our store or for products, we'll leave a link down below in the podcast description as well. So go check us out.
Right.
Thanks for listening. And when will they see us next, Jin?
Well, before that, you always have to remember one thing.
What?
Even you can watch 2 heroic films a day and be a good person.
That's true.
Or a week. But anyway, you guys will see us next Tuesday. Thanks for listening.